Good day, good view audience. This is Howard Martell, known as the Home Profit Coach. I've got a special guest, my good Navy buddy, Tiffany Wen. Tiffany, welcome to the Good View Network.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you.
Well, it's an honor for me. Audience, I want to tell you a little about Tiffany. Tiffany retired from the military as a chief petty officer, and she'll tell a little bit of story about what she does. But we've got some really pointed information about how to not only self heal, but she has some incredible knowledge. She was a cyber expert like myself. I continued
Still,
on with
still is,
cyber.
still is, still is.
Still is. So she's got cyber still, but she also has another thing that she's very passionate about. She's passionate about people. I've known her since Nick Tam's Land when I was serving there from 2010 to 2012, and her and I were both frontline leaders in different divisions, and I could tell that she cared about people like I cared about people. The difference was she had a lot more people to care for than I did. So Tiffany, the floor is yours.
Yes. So, yes, that was definitely a very important time for me when we were serving in the Navy. And that was the time where I really developed my love for people. I mean, I went from having, I think, from being a LP of a smaller division, about 150, to a department. And it became very important to create these interactions with sailors, because it was so important to keep relationships with them and connection with them. So I had to genuinely be strategic, intentional about my connections with people, and so that was huge for me. I'm glad you brought that time up, because it was very important.
So another thing we were discussing is there was a person that influenced our lives into our careers. Her name was Vice Admiral Danielle Barrett. Tell me about Danielle Barrett. I know about her. You know
Yeah.
about her. Tell the audience about her.
Well, I think Danielle was so important for me, because she really taught me the importance of prioritizing people above the mission. She was about people always. And she really, no matter how busy she was, how much what was going on, she always made everybody that she encountered feel like they were important. And I remember one time specifically, as in our leadership, I remember I was at the hospital visiting a sailor, and I was there, and it was late, because I got off work late, and I'm just thinking to myself, goodness, I was exhausted. And she comes walking in the door behind me with some flowers, and it really taught me something so important, because we knew she was busy. We knew what she had on her plate, but yet she still made time to make this sailor feel that they were the most important thing to her. And it just left such an impression on me. And so I just, I have such respect for her. Her life has made such an impression on me, has changed me forever. Her book, Rock the Boat, which I thought it was important to bring up here, because it was so important about leadership. And she just was always about leaving nuggets. And that book definitely was a nugget that she left with us to remember her leadership by.
Definitely, and she's remembered in our prayers because she
Yeah.
passed away, I think it was last year, and that was
Yeah.
hard on both of us because she had a lasting impression on my career. She helped me during transition period where she allowed me as a leader to fail many times, but also she gave the Chiefs mess the ability to be able to be that barrier to be able to help people, and
Yeah.
as a first class, you want to achieve that high level. But to be honest with you, I was ready to go. I was ready to go. But I felt that Nick Tams was a great place for me because I did finally got into that leadership role where I got to lead men and women and stuff and saw the difficulties and the transition and how the military was running,
Yeah.
and it prepared me for being in the cyber realm
Yeah.
after many years, and just the transition for us veterans is very, very tough. Mike and Tiffy can have talked about that. She
Yeah.
came in and she got out right during COVID. So if you want to talk about that a little bit, and how
Yeah.
that transition for you worked out, and how we can transition into what you currently do and what your passion really is.
Yeah. Yeah. So right around that time, I was just getting out the military, and it was very hard. And any of veteran who has to transition, retired from the military, that transition is very difficult. It really make it really shakes your soul, because it's like everything you knew that you love, that was very secure for you, is now the foundation feels like it's shaking, and you have to now rethink everything that you ever learned. And it was very difficult for me. I did not realize how much I relied on the environment, how much I was very secure just from being a chief and being having all of these sailors behind me, what it did for me. And then when it was no longer there, I felt naked. I felt like I needed to just regroup and figure out who was I, and now what do I do? And I had to reflect back on all my time in service, and really sit down and think about the things that was most important to me. And what came up for me was people. People have always been so important to me. Taking care of sailors, just being important in my family, being a leader in my family. It just all came to full circle for me, and it led me to being the founder of Together We Flourish, which is my practice. I went back to school to get my master's degree in marriage and family counseling. So currently and right now, I'm a resident in marriage and family therapist. I love the work that I do. It is so rewarding in so many aspects. And so now, as I'm here, I am starting my practice because I have so many big dreams of things that I want to do to just serve the community and help.
That is great. That's great. So your transition, like mine, was very, very interesting. Totally different times. I dealt with in 2012 sequester. You remember that? And personally, myself, once you strip off that uniform, not literally, but figuratively, you strip that uniform off, all you have is your good name
Oh,
and that code that we live by: honor, courage, commitment.
that's right.
Now, as as a veteran like yourself, what was the biggest challenge during the transition for you, and then going back to school for you too? Because that's another challenge that a lot of us
Mm,
have, and how that schooling helped you transition over to the founder of Together We Flourish.
yeah. So for me, I think going back to school was really important because I needed to now be just Tiffany, and I couldn't rely on anything that I had going on in the background, or my history. I really needed to rely on what was in my heart, and and what I wanted in the future. And so I had to come like almost like an empty slate, and relearn this new career path, and see how I can be of service in this world. And so that's what I did. School, this degree in particular, it really is therapeutic. It really is about learning. You're learning about modalities and this career field, but also in you learning, you're questioning everything you ever knew, which makes you question think the way you did things and the way you understood things to be. And so there's a lot of that in this field. I mean, you're going to rethink every aspect of your life, and that's what it was for me. It was therapy. It was it made me go back to therapy. It made me do my own internal work. I'm gonna be honest with you. If I did nothing else with this degree, what it has done for my family has been absolutely amazing, because it taught me how to be a better mother. It taught me how to be a better wife. It taught me how to be a better daughter. It made me look at every aspect of my life and do a quick shift change, and do things differently. So it was almost like a rebirth, if you will.
That sounds interesting. Same thing with mine. When I wasn't working and stuff, I just
Mhm.
had faith that God's got this, and I was walking with the retirees at the Greenbrier Mall. Because one thing I learned is that once I was able to get the therapy that took me 8 years to get my CPAP machine. For the audience, you got to understand that it's hard for veterans like myself and Tiffany, who didn't get much sleep. And and it has a lasting effect on our health,
Yeah.
not only our health but our mental health, because if I'm not getting the proper oxygen, I had to
Yeah.
fight for my benefits, and it was
Yes.
God who gave me that strength, and my wife and my church that give me that strength. And then
Yeah.
while I was going to school, opportunities came up where
Yeah.
opened doors up for where I'm at profession as a risk analyst now, and this is the longest I've been working as a contractor, which is 8+ years. It's been on and off in contracting, as you know, and it's all about God. But I work with people of the world, but I work with a great group of leaders who
Yes.
understand how to get the job done in tough times because
Yeah.
we've all been there,
Yeah.
different levels, and I have a great cube mate. His name's Larry Payton and stuff. Great man of God, going through so much that I'm always encouraging him. We're encouraging him. We're having deep conversations about God in the office place. And Tiff,
Yeah.
you know how to understand that in this world we live in, that
Yeah.
is a tough thing to do
Yeah.
because people are scared about speaking about our
Yeah.
Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid of that. And I am trying to be that beacon of hope for the next generation to show
Yeah.
them, yes, you can go to school. You can have disabilities, but you don't allow that to limit your potential.
Yeah.
And I commend you on that. And as I said before, I will be graduating with my bachelor's of science in cybersecurity with
Yeah.
honors. I've been in presidential honors, but it's not about me.
Yeah.
God's given me the strength to do this online degree. And to
Yeah.
me, it wasn't hard. The only thing hard was putting forth the effort.
Yeah.
And as a person who understands difficulties and has seen death, especially during COVID and everything else, it 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 it, it to me, I'm very educated about what is going on in the world, but
Yeah.
also God gave me the financial gift as an audience, as you know, to be able to teach you how money works because I follow the biblical principles. And we talked about in episode 3, gold, precious metals, and silver. One of the most popular TV segments is that segment. And it's an honor to be able to share with you the sources that I use because I was exposed to people like Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Credible read about whether it's fictitious or not, I don't care. His principles are simple.
Yeah.
You need to be able to invest in assets and not liabilities. And unfortunately, the school system, even college, doesn't teach people
So true.
these concepts. But guess
So
what the
true.
military does? It teaches us to will to succeed no matter what, and to sacrifice and to honor those who were fallen before us. Because myself and you have had fallen shipmates
Yeah.
over the years,
Yeah.
and these people have a lasting effect on our lives. And
Yes,
that's
we do.
where your practice can come in to help potential military members dealing with difficult times,
Yeah.
traumas, right? Am I on
Yep.
the right path about that?
Yep. And I just
And
want to thank
mhm,
you. I just want to say this to you because this is very important, and it goes back to what we were talking about with Daniel Barrett's
mhm,
book, Rock the Boat. Is really about stepping out of your comfort zone and really doing something different. And you being an entrepreneur, I mean, you were willing to get out of your comfort zone and do something that not a lot of people do. And it is about following the voice of God. It really is about trusting him and following his voice. And so you don't know, just off your audacity to break out of what the norm, how impactful it is to people. So I just want to take a moment and thank you for being bold enough, strong enough, and an example for many to just be an entrepreneur, get out and do something different.
because as I said before, if you follow people, whether they are in the Bible, Jesus rock the boat, right? You know how the boat rocks when the storm comes? We both have dealt with plenty of storms, whether it was for former shipmates who didn't want to listen, who got in trouble
Yeah.
with with the military law. And we know
Yeah.
that pains us because
Yeah.
we did our darndest as leaders to keep these kids, these young adults, they are
Yeah.
kids still, a lot of them, 18, 19
Yeah.
years old, just like we were. And
Yeah.
they take you from a civilian world and then they transform you into something. And like I said, I truly believe, just like when I traveled to Israel, when I was in Haifa, that you see people serve for 2 years. I believe in America, if we had that ability to be able to offer kids the ability to join the military Peace Corps, I think we would have a more conducive society that would be thriving for excellence. Don't you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And it's about, giving everybody the same opportunities and benefits, that, so that everybody has the opportunity to excel. But at the end of the day, you do have to have that spirit that we're talking about, that entrepreneurial spirit that will step out and will rock the boat and be different than everybody else. You have to have that.
That's right. And I got Robert Kiyosaki's book right here. Why You Want to Be Rich. See, I love reading. And I don't know if you're the same way, Tiff, but I
Hmm.
read about all kinds of subjects,
Hmm.
especially history. And what does the Bible talk about history? A lot of it repeats, and we deal with it in society.
Yeah.
We have such a I won't say a cosmic, but we have a very divisive society where people are want to be entertained. And guess what? At the church, they want to be entertained too. But I want to be fed. When I come to church, I want to be fed, but then I have to take the responsibility back to be in the word and to understand what Jesus is revealing to me in the living word. Because every day we talked about this as church in our message today, talking about pursuing him. Jesus pursues us 24/7, people.
Yeah.
And you got to understand Howard is not about the money. He makes money in his business, but understand he's about the passion of helping others. Just like I served in the military. It's about serving others and educating them so the next generation can create that legacy income, but that legacy where you can transformation those curses off of people and saying, hey, you don't have to be in this specific income situation or this specific situation if you know how money works. And there's so many resources now. We didn't have these resources. You know, me being in that, I guess our generation is what your generation. I'm 52, so whatever generation is X or whatever doesn't matter. It's just I
Gen
was
X, yeah.
when I grew up. My parents said, when the light comes back on, I want you back home. They
Hmm.
trusted me and my friends to get back home. If they knew where I was at, they were fine. A lot of the generation now, they're trying to be buddy buddy. There's no discipline like me and you had growing
Yeah.
up. And guess
Yeah.
what? We turned out right, right? And there's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with discipline. It's when it gets to the point where it's too corrective. Am I
Yeah.
right about that being in your healing realm that you've learned
Yeah.
about school? Because I'm just talking from personal experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about growth, and I think that and about balance. I think that that's the key here. I think it's a little bit. You have to have a little bit of everything. You have to have a little bit of definitely some discipline, but you also have to have a little bit of freedom. And I think that once you get that balance going, I think you're going to see the growth and the flourishing happen with people. But it definitely takes both. Too much discipline can make someone stagnant, so, and then on vice versa, too much freedom can make somebody crash. So it's one of those things that if you create balance for people, you create the perfect storm, if you will. Yeah.
Definitely. One of the other questions I have for you that was just
Mhm.
come off my head. So in your practice and stuff, are you doing this part-time working towards a full-time income like myself as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur? Is this something that, because you said you still work as a cyber analyst just like myself and stuff, just in a
Yeah.
different for a different company. So
Yes.
how do you balance between the two? Let me ask you that. And school.
Yes. So I'm very intentional and strategic about how I do it. You have to be, right? So I do work I have the morning is toward my cyber career. I take my time, I dedicate that time for that. And then in the evening, I dedicate my evening hours to working and doing my practice. So unfortunately, really part-time more with my practice, but that's my goal. That's not my goal. My ultimate goal is to cause it to grow to a place where I can do it full time. But I don't know how long that journey is going to take, and I'm kind of just enjoying the ride, if you will. I don't have any dates and times on it. I'm going to be listening for the Holy Spirit and listening to God guide me. But I do have a lot of dreams. I'm one of those people where the Lord had poured so much. I've been a dreamer since I was as long as I can remember, right? And it's always been very hard to pace yourself when you're a dreamer. I do believe sometimes it could cause a lot of angst for people who dream a lot and have a lot of goals and visions, and they're not able to accomplish them. I think that could be but part of some of the things that happen to us that cause, mental health issues when you can't get it out. So pacing yourself is very important. And so I've learned over time that I have to go at a certain speed. And that's where I'm at with this. Is I'm taking my time. I'm learning what I need to learn. I'm observing what I need to observe. I'm doing my work so that when it's time for me to launch out and to go full time with this, I'm ready.
Awesome, awesome. So, are there a lot of people like yourself that get these degrees and actually start their own practices?
Mhm. Actually, no. I'm probably one of the few that actually just jump right in and start my practice. But I have a background in business. I dibble and dabble in a lot of stuff. I'm into real estate. I've had my own business prior to this, an event service business that I run, and so I really had a business mind when I
Mhm.
came into this place. So I'm more thinking like, okay, although I'm in the early stages of my career when it comes to being a therapist, I still need to be thinking long term that one day I do want to open up a brick and mortar. I do want to be able to launch out and do different programs. So I got to start at the early stages of what it takes to do that. And that is starting to practice and begin to understand what I need to do in this environment and what needs to take place. So I am different from a lot. I know a lot of my peers, they're like, you already started your practice. I'm like, absolutely, because I have, a long-term mentality about this. Yep.
Well, you're just like me. You knew me. That I already had a business in place. I've been with them for 15 years. I started something else, the Asai Elite Plus, which is incredible. We
Yeah.
actually have our own ministry called New Age Ministry. So I'm working with individuals. This is crazy. And the audience knows about this, but this is crazy how God works. Where I'm working with a guy who at one time was $100 to $200 million earner, and he was filling stadiums up. His name's a Brig Hart. He was a surfer, dude. He did the Marine Corps. He was either out of the jail. And he's 72 years old and building two more houses up in Michigan. He sold his house there in Florida and stuff, a beautiful house.
Hmm.
He talks more about God and his principles, and he's been doing it for 40 plus years. So I have
Yeah.
mentors like that. I have other
Yeah.
mentors that have helped me with my site. As people know, I have my own virtual AI voice bot that a person clicks the phone number, Tiff, and then what happens is they'll get a phone message and you are talking like me and you talking, but it's AI. It sounds real. Then I'll get the information myself so I can follow up with them. Then I got a virtual assistant. So
Mm.
these are things that I invest in. And in
Right.
2025, I believe it's the year, as they said multiple times, it's the golden age of America. This has been mentioned in the Bible. Look it up, people.
Mhm.
I truly believe that. I'm seeing that with my investments in buying silver. Every month, I allocate a certain amount of money through automated clearinghouse through my precious metals. And it is blessing me because of being obedient to what if it's mentioned in the Bible, when we leave this earth and heaven is the new earth is involved with gold and precious metals, frankincense, myrrh, and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, well, people laugh at me, Tiff. They think I'm crazy, but I know, and you know, where God's got our lives. All right, so we've got a few more minutes. Um, for the audience, what can you say about your complete journey of life and summarize it in like 2 or 3 minutes and how you feel after you left the service and for you and your family and stuff, and how these degrees and these incredible careers you've had
Yeah.
have allowed you to be able to flourish in society, to encourage fellow veterans who are struggling with those mental health
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah. I would go back to something very simple, and that is you must do your work. And I would just say that, when it's time for you to invest in yourself. I mean, we were talking about this before we started, and then we were saying that, it's really important for you to prioritize yourself and really invest in yourself. And I think that's one of the things that we just don't do enough of. We invest in so many other things, and we don't see the value in ourselves, but God sees the value in us. And one thing I love about the work that I'm doing is a lot of times I'm just reminding people to prioritize themselves. We are in the practice of putting everybody, what other people think about us before ourselves, what we look like to other people before ourselves. The danger, even in having degrees and titles, is that you will assign your worth to those things. And you have to be very careful with all of those things, because you are enough in who you are. God created you to be enough. He placed a gift inside of you that is worth more than anything that this world has. And so you are responsible for that. And when we get to heaven, he's going to want to know about the gift he put inside of you and how well you invested in that and developed that. And so, what I would say to anybody that's listening is do your work. Take the time to invest in yourself so that you have enough to give to your family and to the people that you encounter. I just want to remind people, because this is a very faith-based audience, that one of God's greatest commandments is to love thy neighbor as thyself. And so we have to remember that you know love is key. Love never fails. And self-love, and it starts with self. We have to honor how God loves us so that we can properly love other people. And so you are responsible for you. So I would just say, invest in yourself, do your work. Do not put anything, any money, any titles, anything that is external above what is spiritual.
Well put. Well,
Mhm.
Tiffany, it's been an honor to have you on the Home Profit Coach Good View Network. And
Yes.
I wish you much success. And I'm going to see you very soon, because
Yes.
next Saturday, people, this was just a dry run. She did great. Didn't you feel comfortable?
I did, and I thank you for inviting me to your network. I really appreciate this opportunity to talk about my practice and what we do. And I do want to say, please do follow me on Instagram at together_we_flourish_therapy. And I spend time talking about some of the nuggets that I get from from my therapeutic sessions, and also to the things that I learned along the way. Any scriptures, I go to a lot of conferences, and we get a lot of information, and I really like to put a lot of things that I learn out to people. So please follow me on Instagram. You won't regret doing that. So thank you, and
And
keep your eye out for Together We Flourish. We have a lot of work ahead of us.
and I know she's going to be very, very successful. We're both leaders, different industries. Well, actually, in the same industry, in cyber industry, because that's what we did for 20 years of our lives. But
Yeah.
as you said, you see my tattoo right here. This is what I told you about. This
Yes.
is what it's about and stuff like that. And that's my first tat. Never got a tat before.
I'm tatless. I don't got a tat
Yeah, I
yet,
know.
but I've been
Me and
definitely.
my wife got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you told me the other day you just got it. So
Yeah.
congratulations on
Um,
that, for you guys stepping out and rocking the boat and doing something different with that.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
See, you come as you are. Well,
That's right.
audience, thank you. If you want more information about Tiffany, all the information will be provided for after this episode and stuff. And Tiff, thank you. I can't wait to see you and give you a big hug on Saturday.
Yes.
And this is the Home Profit Coach signing off. Take care. So I'm going to stop the recording.